the top of the interview, this interview is with Emily Keener, and we are talking about her show that is happening March 27th on the internet, in your house, on virtual shows CLE, with Brent Kirbyy and Jenna from the band Niights. Now, this is my first Skype interview, so it's got a little bit of a different sound, but you can hear everything she's got to say, and we get right into it. It's a good conversation. So here's Emily Keener. Here, let me do some audio testing now. Say, how's it going?
It's going great. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Cool. All right, well, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having me. That's a great idea.
Yeah, well, thanks. Everything, you had, I don't know, conference? Was it, or your sister had a conference? I'm trying to see, you got a good angle.
So my sister is from, she's home from college right now, and they're doing online classes in light of all the COVID-19 stuff. So it's just like ginormous Zoom chats going on for several hours a day.
Whoa. So she's actually just taking her classes online.
Yep, and she's a musical theater major, so it's super.
Oh,
she's like, no, it's not working. Like, none of this makes sense, but they're learning anyways, I guess.
Well, that's cool. I can't imagine that's gonna. What's her main voice?
Mainly voice, but she's doing everything. Like, she's doing acting and dance as well. So she's doing ballet classes and jazz and like
that's
all
awesome.
This shit. That's
younger
funny.
Or older sister?
She's a year younger than me.
Oh, okay, cool. So music's in the family then.
It is. Yeah, my brother, he's a musical theater performer as well. He's mostly into acting. He's also got a great voice.
Gotcha. What was it? So everyone seems to be kind of going down that theater route. Did you do that?
I did a couple shows in my teen years, and I really enjoyed it, but it just never was something that I really wanted to like pursue in a big way. It was just more of like a fun, like occasional hobby for me, but they really like latched onto it and did really well. So yeah.
Nice. Well, it's like a different song structure. It's a different like approach to like everything. I feel like I appreciate, but I haven't been able to dive into it yet. I haven't found that one musical that's been like, this is for you, and now you get it. I
feel the same way. I do. Yeah, for me, it's like they're definitely fun to be in, but it's not something that I necessarily go out of my way to. It's not like a form of media I go out of my way to consume. I just really enjoy watching them do what they do, and that's about.
Well, that's cool.
You know,
and I guess that's a good like as far as like siblings, like you can be like, okay, they do that, they really get that. I'm doing this, I'm good at that. There's no like sibling rivalry or anything.
There really isn't. Yeah. It's kind of nice. Like we kind of do our own thing and just support each other on the side, but it's not necessarily like we're in the same universe, you know?
Yeah. What was it? So, okay, well, I should, this is the Zig at the Gig podcast. I'm talking with Emily Keener. We take the sights and sound in Cleveland and give a voice to it. And we're here talking about your virtual show, or we're going to be talking about your virtual show with Michelle Gall.
Hell yeah.
Is Friday, right?
It is Friday at 8:00. I'm super excited for it.
Have you tuned into one of them?
I actually have not, which is super funny because you would think that I would have a bunch of time on my hands to tune into them. But the nights that they've been so far, I've had other meetings and interviews and obligations to do.
Good to stay busy.
But I'm really excited to be part of it because I saw screenshots. I saw lots of really positive feedback from it. And obviously Michelle's a longtime friend of mine, and it's just really cool to see how quickly she got it off the ground and how other people came in to help. And I love the whole vibe.
Yeah, it took off. She put it out there and people were like, that's a good idea. And like, I think she was just right ahead of that curve that like, if she didn't do it when she did it, someone else would have. And I'm glad it was Gall because she's definitely going to give back to the community.
Hell yeah. It's so funny because a couple of weeks before all this virus stuff happened, as far as like it actually impacting our lives, we were talking about how like just creative ways we could think to make money, you know, just as musicians. Even before all this happened, when things were like, we were like, oh, what can we do to like just kind of capitalize on on certain aspects of this career or whatever.
You and Gaw?
Yeah, we were
Okay.
just chatting about it and thinking about just ways to connect with audiences. We were thinking about online connection even then. And when all of this shit went down, she gave me a call. She was like, I have this idea. And I was like, that's a great idea. I was in the middle of a million things. So I was like, let's talk about this tomorrow. Let's chat about this. And by the time that I like connected with her again, like it was already happening. Like she had the ball rolling. She had it all, like she was so on it. And it was
Yeah.
just awesome. It
She
was
had a
really cool.
whole team rolling with it. It all just pieced together real well. I did a pretty long interview with her explaining it was almost like a 48 hour, you know what I mean? If you ever see one of those shows where they break it down, like Gaul broke it down like that, it was really cool. But,
That's awesome.
wow, so how long have you known Gaul? When have,
Probably since, I guess maybe not that long, maybe since 2017.
okay.
But we were playing a show together at the Heights Music Shop for their summer concert
Oh,
series.
okay. That
And
place, that place shut
yeah,
down, right?
I believe so,
Yeah.
recollection.
Was it a
But it was,
songwriter? Sorry.
no, it's not, you're good. It was, I don't know if it was a songwriter specifically. It was just, I think it was just maybe there was like their original music summer concert series because she was playing the first set and I was playing the second set. I just remember it being a lovely little summer show. And yeah, we just ended up hitting it off and chatting. And yeah,
Okay.
been cool ever since.
That's
She's great.
awesome. Yeah, Gaul is the best. When was like with this whole COVID-19 thing? Well, you've been doing music professionally since you were 12. Is that the truth?
It is the
Wow,
truth.
that's insane. How'd that work out? Like,
Hmm. I was actually homeschooled my whole life,
okay.
throughout high school and everything.
Was
So
this was that like a choice on your end or family end or
I mean, as much as you can be down with a choice when you're like 6 years old. I was like,
okay.
sweet,
Oh,
that sounds
so
fun.
like okay, wow, like the whole okay, okay.
Yeah. So I went to school in first grade, and then basically we moved out to the country. And the school systems out here aren't necessarily, what we were looking to get involved in, I guess.
Yeah.
And my parents were like, "Well, we're just gonna do it at home." So
We'll figure it out. Wow.
we'll figure it out. My mom actually did a great job. And so it left me with a good chunk of free time. I was obviously still doing schoolwork, but I had a lot of flexibility as far as what I chose to do with the rest of my time. And I decided to pick up guitar when I was 11.
Wow.
I started writing songs around the time that I was 12 and performing about 6 months after that. So I was playing at bars and wineries by the time I was like 12 and a half.
Jeez. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
As a
It was pretty cool. Yeah.
was it as a music teacher, I teach a lot of kids that are that age and like trying to get them just to play a song they want to learn on the guitar is insane. And like so the self like discipline and dedication that you had at 12 that's impressive.
Thank you. I think I've always just had like a tendency to like focus in on things, I guess. When I decide to get into something, I'm really into it. And I've literally been into music for 10 years, almost 11. And that's pretty cool. Like
That is
I enjoy thinking about my journey. It's been wild. It was definitely an interesting, challenging way to grow up, but I'm grateful for how everything happened.
and when you say in the country, where are you at?
So I grew up in Wakeman, and I'm actually
Okay.
here now because I'm going to be staying here until all this virus stuff kind of blows over to be with my
Good call.
family. Yeah, it's been nice. But so it's basically like if you know where Norwalk is, it's like
Yeah.
20 minutes away from Norwalk, like
Okay.
an hour southwest of Cleveland.
Okay. Well,
Um,
Norwalk's got some cool stuff musically going on. Like
Yeah,
I
for
had to
sure. Yeah, I met a lot of really cool people growing up here. Some of my closest friends are from Norwalk, and we're tight to this day. So
That's odd. That's a cool town. Like I forget, I did some Norwalk Fest there with a couple of groups I was in, like for 2 years in a row. I can't remember what it was called, but they like the main street downtown. They had like music at happening in front of all these storefronts, and there
Was it
was
the Imagine Walk thing?
yeah. That's exactly what
Yeah.
it was.
Cool. Yeah.
Did
I
you do
was like,
that?
there are so many. I did. So yeah, I did that probably a few summers in a row. I mean, I think I played it every summer that it was going. I played it at least once because I was just kind of around and knew all the folks. So that's really funny. I didn't know that
Yeah.
you played those too.
Yeah, we probably crossed paths like a bunch of times before and didn't know it. Like,
That would make
that's
sense.
awesome. But okay, so so you're out that way. That's like an hour and a half. When did you start branching this way into Cleveland? Like, if you're 12 and you're playing out, you're not going to Cleveland on I guess you don't really have to worry about school night. So I guess you could
Right.
have. You could have gone out to
Right.
Cleveland like on a Wednesday and played like
I did. Yeah.
yeah.
I would play at sports bars in Cleveland sometimes too. Usually more like in the suburbs around Cleveland because that was more like my crowd that
Gotcha.
time for my like Jason Mraz covers and shit. Um, so that was my bag. And yeah, it was like at least every other weekend, if not every weekend, I was like busy with shows, and every week, like it was like that was my extracurricular activity. That's where I
That's so
expressed
sick.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
That's so
kind of
cool.
insane.
Was it? Would you do like whole sets when you're playing bar gigs? Are you doing like 3-hour sets at 12? Damn! Wow, man! It took
Yep,
me.
I had a lot of covers. Yeah, basically I was just playing. I was playing for 3 hours most of the time, good chunk of covers, and just slowly as I started to write more music, I got the balance out to like 50-50 covers originals and just kept working on that. And then eventually, like around the time I turned 16, I kind of stopped with the bar and winery gigs, and I was
Yeah.
doing more like more like intimate ticketed events and stuff. And that's where I've been, ever since. Those are more the types of shows that I do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
It was
so cool.
cut my teeth in. Yeah.
Was it well the bar gigs and the winery gigs? They're different gigs. You're like not as you're like a part. Ray put it in a way. He's like you were a part of the atmosphere. Because I do a lot of bar gigs and a lot of like just when you're playing 3 to 4 hours and you're just part of this background noise. And like Ray had an interesting Ray Flanagan. I did an interview with him before his show. He had an interesting twist on it where like if the music's off, people are gonna notice, but if it's on, you're doing fine. And like,
Yep.
there's something about those gigs where you're just like you're kind of dying up there. You're like, I don't know if I'm doing okay, like because a lot of times you just become part of the atmosphere.
Someone validate me.
Yeah, someone validate. Just one of these. Yeah, it'd be all right. Wow.
Oh my god.
That's so crazy. Like that you were doing that at 12. That is so cool. I started that at 16 and didn't get good at that till like now. Like, wow. So the transition between going to a ticketed gig and from like a bar gig, how like there's so much like so many people trying to do music and trying to get even a gig at a bar. That's a market that's people are trying to get involved with. How do you branch from that to that? Was it a gradual thing? Did you meet like a manager, or did you find like sources that way?
It's a good question. I mean, I think for me, I think I started branching out into different performance situations with opening gigs to start with. Like there would be certain artists who were kind of at a couple tiers higher than me that would have a show going on in a small theater and be like, hey, we play an opening set, like, and so it just kind of got me used to the idea of the music itself being an event, and kind of working towards playing more shows like that. And so, yeah, I haven't played at a bar, winery, or restaurant in years. Like,
Nice.
I'll do, sometimes I'm in that situation. Like if there's a private party going on and we happen to be in a venue like that, then yes, technically I'm but it's usually when I'm playing, it's like, I'm there because people are there to see me or are paying specifically for me to be there. Like it's almost like more, exclusive or something.
Yeah.
But a lot of that honestly has to do with my time on The Voice and kind of like the notoriety that comes with that. That was a big help. and
Yeah,
transitioning to bigger stages, bigger rooms, you know?
for sure. I'd imagine. Well, that's a platform. Like when you look at your Spotify,
Yeah.
everyone that your related artists or the people you did that with, and like the singles you did from that. How'd that come out? You just like signed up for it and did it, and just like it kept going, or is it something you prepped for mentally and you're like, I'm gonna do this?
Yeah. Yeah. It was never something, it was never something that I had on my radar as far as like, I want to do this. Like, this is what I want. It was kind of more of a happenstance. Like a friend of a friend happened to know the casting producer who was working on the show at the time, and they
Cool.
had this random open audition slot. And they were like, well, we want to send you to do this. And you can say no if you don't like the vibe, but you should go and you should give it a shot and see if they like you. And at that point, the band that I had been playing with for a few months had just broken up.
Was
I
that
was
the
like,
Woolmax, the band?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, yeah. I was part of like they kind of like expanded to an 8-piece band, and I was part
Woo.
of like the members that they had, and that was super fun. We played for like 6 months.
Yeah.
It was great. But then it ended, and I was like, okay, now what? And so this audition opportunity popped up at the same time, and I was kind of like, well, I can't like not try.
For
Like
sure.
I wanted to explore it. I was curious about it, so I went. They loved what I did, and it was from there that things just kind of snowballed.
Gotcha.
Um,
How old were
and
you
yeah,
when you
it
did
was.
that? If you were gigging professionally at 12, how old were you when you did the voice?
I was 16. Yeah,
Wow. Wow. So like when you did
yeah,
that and you started to, cuz you made it top 12, right?
I did.
Like
Yes.
geez, that's insane. Like
Thanks.
I would watch some of those shows, and I get really like, I don't like music being a competition, but I do appreciate the people that are doing it. I'm like, wow, that's got to be a lot of pressure. And like when it gets to like the you know what I mean, like the actual competition end of it, you're like, wow, I would choke up, and I would mess up doing that. So that's
Oh
a
my God.
hats off to that.
Thank you. Thanks. It's a lot of hard work. It's definitely one of the hardest things I've ever done. It's very it's interesting because I learned so much from that experience, and I gained a lot. I became a totally elevated, like I definitely I grew more than I thought that I could, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, I would never do it again. Like I got what I got from that, like that,
Yeah.
and it's totally like I'm like it's almost like a different person when I look back. Obviously, I was 16, 17,
Yeah.
just still like very, very much figuring out who I was. But now I just look back and see like, okay, you did a lot of hard work and we got to this place, and now it's just moving forward.
Well, that's an excellent mindset to take out of like coming up from a hype like that. Because I imagine like going from a bar gig to like a TV show like the size of that one, like the
Yep.
production behind it's got to be insane. Like you go from, yeah, your corner's over there, I moved the table, you can put your mic there, to like this is you probably had a
Yeah.
green room, and like what was that like? So when you auditioned for it, you do one song, right? And that's kind of the song they put out, like the
Yeah.
first. And like when you are in the next rounds or whatever, I noticed like each one's recorded. Was that the live take of it, or did you do a like another version of it?
So the songs that were released were recorded in a studio
Okay.
in LA, and then everything you heard that was being performed live on stage, that was actually, it was either recorded live on the stage or actually broadcast live on national
Okay.
TV.
Wow.
So like the first three songs that of mine that were on the show were like taped in advance,
Yeah.
and then they released them. And then once you get to a certain point on the show, like the top 12, then it's aired live.
Gotcha.
Because then they have a fewer amount of contestants, and it's easier to run that whole production live. If they were trying to do that with
Oh, yeah.
48 people, it would be literally impossible, and they wouldn't be able to cut everything properly. So,
Yeah, you'd have to
yeah,
be like, let me. The bass drum was picking up too much bass guitar. Like, it would be a
right.
mess. Wow. Like with this
Yeah.
whole COVID-19 thing, I've been diving down the video realm. So has everyone else on the internet. You know what I mean? Like, you can't go on Facebook without seeing people are doing some weird stuff. Like they're like, oh, I'm coloring the plungers. This is tune in and watch me paint this plunger, and like,
This is art. Let us connect with this.
sorry, one more time. What?
It's just like people. I totally get what you're saying. It's like this plunger and painting is high art. Let us connect over this and make it a real thing. I don't know. It's just it's very strange.
I mean, but like people are. So I've been diving in the video rabbit hole for a while, trying to. I book shows at Negative Space as a side.
Oh, cool.
Have you been there? The art
I've
gallery?
been there. Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to work a whole video production for them. So learning about how to make little GoPros work, and so a big production like that's got to be crazy. So that makes sense that they would, you would track it and you'd get up there and you do it, and then that'd make it flow real easy.
Yeah. They have a lot of people working on the show. A lot of cogs in that machine for sure.
Wow. And to be 16 and try to wrap your mind around, like, what do you mean I'm not just gonna play it? Like, I don't know, like. To go into it and just be like, yep, this is how we do it. That's like, wow, that's awesome.
Thank you. Thanks. It was a cool experience.
So from there, when you came back after that, did opportunities open up like to do these more intimate type shows? Or did you have to go seek them? Or did you find help to seek them?
It's a good question. I definitely had help in setting them up, but venues were really receptive to the idea of having me headline shows, which was pretty new for me. Like I had played in these intimate spaces, but it usually was more of an opening gig. But now, just coming home and there being a lot of like hype around the general locale, it was just cool. Like all of a sudden I was like, okay, people are paying to see me. Like I'm the headliner. I'm going to put on a show. This is going to be my thing. So I had help in basically putting together some homecoming shows. And there were times when I would actually play so during the time when I was taping the show, I would have trips home occasionally, because, things weren't really airing yet and I could still, come home and play shows. So the shows that I did in those times were also really successful too, because people were, they saw the first episode and they got all hyped up about it. So that was a really interesting time. It got me used to the whole process of, planning shows as events and kind of creating an experience for people. So that year, actually, ever since then, I've had some really cool shows. I mean, the hype was obviously bigger that year, but yeah, it was cool from then on out for the most part.
I just want to. I know no one's gonna see this, but you got a real good angle, and I got my phone balanced on a camera, and I think I'm just seeing a glare in my mic. So
you're good. Like your cat tree.
Yeah, this is the cat cave. Usually they're all over me when I'm doing these.
Oh, kitty. Love cat.
Yeah, I'm definitely a cat person. So I forgot cat train of thought. Now, so when you came back and that hype was real, and like you're getting gigs, like who are some people you're opening for? Like maybe before, and then kind of after. Like I was gonna ask you that, but we kind of kept going that one path. But who are some like local artists that you were, or maybe a national artist that you hopped on and were opening for?
So it's funny because like after I got off the show, several of the opening gigs that I had planned actually fell through. The cooler ones like before that for whatever reason. But at one point I opened up for Lee Nash from Sixpence None the Richer because she was doing a set at a local listening room and she's badass. She's really cool. Opened up for Howie Day. I'm trying to think of like other national touring artists. My favorite artist that I've opened up for would be Jessica Lee Mayfield, though. I opened up for her at the Beachland years back, and
What year was that?
I think that was 2018.
2018. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that was like the most.
Yeah, she's awesome. I saw her in 2015, I think, at the Grog Shop.
Cool.
And I think she just started going as Jessica Lee Mayfield. What was she before? Do you remember? She had like a different name before she was going under. And the girl I was seeing at the time like knew her from whatever her first stage name. Oh, anyway, it was cool. She puts on.
I never knew about that.
yeah, it's like it's something with. I don't think she wants people to know about it. I think maybe they're like those recordings, like yeah, cool.
Um,
I'm Jessica Lee Mayfield now. I go by that, not what you know what I mean.
Sometimes I've wanted to do that, just like change my name, because like I have respect for the stuff I've done in the past, but I was just talking to a friend about this earlier today. I was like when
Hold on a second.
like the stuff that I'm about to release is definitely what's up.
Sorry, you froze for a second. So you're talking to a
Oh,
friend.
okay. Yeah, I was talking to a friend earlier today about just how I feel about my older music, and I was saying like, when I listen to it now, I just hear a kid, like I just
Yeah.
hear like a little baby, which is cool. Like I'm
Yeah.
proud of that. But now it's like the stuff I'm about to release feels like it's very much like authentically me, like in a
Yeah.
more mature way. That's going to be super fun. It's tempting to want to like totally separate it from my old stuff, but I'm just trying to be cool about, like allowing the journey to exist on record.
Yeah. When those records, I'm sure like your first record is going to mean way more to, I don't want to say it's someone else than to you, but to some degree,
And
their experience is defined by that record being available and growing up and hearing that and following your journey. So
yeah,
it's cool that is as hard as it is as an artist to listen back to your first record and be like, ugh, really? Thirds there? Ugh, I did that lick or whatever. Like to someone else that means the world, and it's hard to define their experience without like critiquing your own. So like,
right. 'Cause at that point, it's like theirs now. Like it's
yeah,
not mine anymore.
and like so to take it away, it's like it's a weird spot, because you just want to show your best stuff. I get it. But you were gonna come out with a record next month, May.
It's in May. Yeah.
Okay, and that's still
And so,
he's still gonna drop it. Everything's still gonna go.
yeah. So the release itself is still on track as planned. It's just whether it's super doubtful that there's going to be a release show at this point. I'll be honest with you,
Yeah,
unless things miraculously turn around. I haven't made any official announcements about that. I'm not saying that it's going to be any one way or another, but chances are it's going to be mainly a digital release, and we're going to just focus on connecting online, and just shipping out, albums to, people who kind of already had planned on doing that. There's still going to be vinyl, like all that is
sick.
on track.
Nice.
Yes, it's just the live show aspect and the touring aspect that's in jeopardy. So
How often do you tour? Do you go on tours a lot?
not very often.
Yeah.
I've done some solo touring, and had some great experiences with that. I've always loved it, just the aspect of traveling and just sharing music in new places. It's one of my favorite things. I was gearing up to book a tour for later in the summer.
Yeah.
But then all of this stuff happened.
Yeah.
Thank God I didn't actually secure dates and like put, money behind it yet.
For sure.
But yeah, definitely that's kind of like dead in the water at this point. It just doesn't feel there's no sure thing, I guess, for the rest of this year. So I'm just kind of biding my time on that.
Yeah, good call. Do you do all your booking? Do you work with somebody?
For right now, I do. I do all my. Yeah, I would love to have.
Oh my god, I
put
know.
that dollar.
Oh man, because I've been doing all our booking and I've been trying to do. I play in a band called Sea Level, and
Cool.
what I'll do is I'll book a solo thing by myself. I'll pick a town, figure out all the spots, learn the thing, go out there by myself, meet people, then bring the band, and then like hopefully move from venue to venue. Up from like a DIY to like an actual venue to a bigger venue. And so far it's worked until our halt stop with this COVID-19 stuff. And with your new record that you're coming out, it's not the Womax, right? It's the Dalton band or
It's basically just me. It's me. I do have musicians that back me up on the record, and I produced it with Dalton Brand. We co-produced it together.
Okay, so they're on the record. Got it.
Yeah. And it was a really great experience. I feel like it's very much what I wanted to create, so I'm happy about it.
The single sounds awesome.
Thank you. It means a lot.
The album cover is cool. It gives me like a a '90s album cover vibe. I don't know if
Oh,
that's
hell yeah.
what
No,
you were going for, but I can't, that's what it made me think of.
I don't know that I was going for anything in like anything in particular, but that to me that's a compliment. So
Sweet. I mean it. I mean every word of it. Then was it are the Dalton band? Who are they, and how'd you meet them? Are they involved with the Womacs at all? Are they a new group of musicians you've come across from your travels, or?
so it's actually just one guy. His name is Dalton Brand,
Oh,
and he engineered and produced it.
wait, his name's
Well,
Dalton Brand or Dalton Band?
Dalton Brand, yeah.
Oh, have I been saying? I thought I read it band. That's that quarantine
That's
brain.
hilarious. That's so funny. No, yeah. So we co-produced it together, and he engineered it at his studio. And then the musicians that I played with, let's see if I can go down the list. Dan Fernandez was drumming for me. Eli Hanley played keys. Seth Bain played bass on the record. My friend Curtis Leonard played guitar on one track. And Kathleen from the Katie is also going to be featured on the record as well.
Yeah, she rips.
Yeah, she really does. She's fire. I love her.
Was it so is that all tracked like out by you, or did you come up this way?
So that Dalton studio is up in Port Clinton, Ohio. So it's over kind of south of where the islands would be. Yeah, so we recorded mostly out there, and yeah.
And it's all done, mastered, ready to roll.
Yep. Everything is done record-wise. So now it's just the next month and a half is just going to be promoting it and doing press stuff and trying to figure out how to make everything work in this new era of global pandemic.
Yeah, for real. Wow. I mean, that's the hardest part too, when you get everything done and you want to share it and you can't share it and you got to wait and you got to
Right.
Are you dropping any other singles up until?
I am. Yeah, there's going to be another single released on April 13th. And then one more the week before the record comes out in May.
Oh,
so,
cool.
yeah.
How many tracks is on the record?
There are, I'm going to say 9. I
9?
don't actually know off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure there are 9. But it's it's a full LP, so it's about 45 minutes.
Okay, sweet. Now, I've been trying to start these interviews off asking about how COVID-19 has day-to-day stopped, but we kind of went down the rabbit hole of just family and stuff like that. But
sure.
For your day-to-day, when was it what was the holy crap, this is happening here moment for you with this whole thing? Was it a gig cancellation? Was it?
That's a really good question. So I didn't have enough, I didn't have any real number of gigs booked for this month or next month. So it didn't necessarily hit me immediately, I guess, if that makes sense. But when what was it? I knew that it was real for several days, and I was conscious that it was real and it was probably going to affect me. But when they closed down the bars and the restaurants, I was like, oh, it's it kind of took me out of shock a little bit, and I was like, okay, I get it now. This is real. And the same day that happened, I ended up just packing up everything from Lakewood and coming out to here to stay with my family. Because at that point, my mom was just please, come here. Don't be Cleveland. Just come stay with us. And so I worked to make it happen. And all the while, I'm just damn, this is gonna change everything about most people's lives for a really long time.
For sure.
So super weird. I also I had a smaller part-time job in the service industry as well that I had just started in December. And that was pretty nice supplemental income. So that is not there anymore. Just,
Yeah. And that makes it hard to keep living out in Lakewood. For me, it was have you been to the Good Kind? That coffee place in Lakewood on Madison. I went there. Good Kind. Yeah, that place is awesome. I went there and I was like, yeah, I got my reusable cup. And they're like, yeah, sorry, bud. I'll give you the discount, but you can't use that. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, COVID-19. I'm like, what? Like it didn't like then was kind of like, this is a thing. And I'm a school teacher too. I teach pre-K to senior high adapted music course for kids with autism. And like at the end of that day, when I bought that coffee that morning, they were like, yeah, we get off the next 3 weeks. I'm like, what? So it was like a double whammy. But it's
It all
insane.
happens so fast. That's a huge transition. I'm sure that's a lot to handle for you.
Yeah, I mean, we've been bouncing to online teaching and like I do a lot of bar gigs and nursing home gigs and teaching. So everything I do is canceled. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but I
Mm-hmm.
do get way more sleep and way more practice time and like so I just got a
That
routine I stick to every day. Like
yeah, that's where it's at. The routine, honestly, like yeah, yeah. I've been thinking a lot about that lately because I was actually a publication asked me to write an article about just general creativity as songwriters.
yeah.
And initially, I was going to go one direction with it, but when all this stuff happened, I was like, nope, I'm going to switch gears and write something more topical about how to create in such uncertain times. And the number one thing I kept thinking about, and I ended up writing about that as kind of like a first point was like, you have to get into a routine. Like you have to have a certain rhythm to your day and involve creativity in that rhythm and, take care of your body, take care of your mind, all those things, because otherwise it's just going to feel like nothingness, honestly. And it's so important.
Yeah, no, the routine is definitely the practice of practices. You know what I mean? Do you have a routine that you're sticking to now?
Right now I do, yes.
Yeah, what's it look
Um,
like?
so I don't have necessarily a specific wake up time because I find that
Nice.
sometimes I want to stay up late and watch something crazy or like talk to a friend, and that's cool. But when I do wake up, I meditate for 15 minutes
Yeah.
at least. And then, get myself some breakfast, have some tea, like get cleaned up for the day, and just try and, make my morning rhythm just be like calm and chill and, all that stuff, connect with friends, whatever. I've been exercising a lot, which has been
Nice.
great for like my general sense of well-being. So I usually do that after breakfast, have a smoothie, create for like, I'll usually spend the latter half of the afternoon just playing guitar, writing, doing whatever I can creativity wise. And then somewhere in there, I'll like work in like emails and, like written interviews now I'm doing and like, phone calls like this or whatever. And then I just have my evening, which is like mostly focused on like, hey, I'm gonna like either cook for my family or my family is cooking together and we're just
That's
gonna,
cool.
do that. And I try to also like carve out time to just chill, and have some relaxation in there too, because I had a few days last week where I was getting so regimented with a routine and I was trying to cram so much into each day that I just wasn't giving myself time to breathe. So I'm trying to like balance that out.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm kind of at that point right now. Like I'm like trying to like I'll just take another lesson. I'll go through this book on that thing. I'm like, oh, it's 3 o'clock. Um, but one thing I haven't worked in yet is like time to write. Now that I got all this
Mm.
time to write stuff. And what's that look like for you when you are sitting down with your guitar? Are you like meditating on an idea of like a feeling and trying to express it? Are you just learning some new chords? Or is it vague and whatever happens in that like set amount of time is what happens?
Mm. I think it can be different from day to day, but a lot of the time for me, it's just like I'll usually be playing around with some sort of guitar idea, whether I'm making up something new or it's something I already had in mind. I'll start with trying to find my way in a guitar part that feels good to me. And then from there, it's like I see if I hear a melody speaking to me or some sort of emotion. Like I write from a very emotional standpoint. And so it's important for me to just have a piece of music that I can get immersed into and just see what comes up,
Gotcha.
basically. So it is kind of meditative for me sometimes. Like it's not even that it's hit or miss. It's just I have different emotional experiences on different days, and sometimes it comes out in a way that is like fun and sounds cool, and other times it's just it's not jiving as well. But I think the important thing for me has been to just do it every day, because if I don't do it every day, like it throws me off, you know?
Yeah. No, that goes back to the whole routine thing and the importance of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So who was it? Kate Hart. Do you know her? She's from the Cleveland area.
I don't think I know her. I might have heard her name before.
I know she does the 10x3 a fair amount, but she just been doing this thing where it's like you have 1 hour to write a song, and I thought that was kind of a cool practice of just being in it. And like I was like, wow, that's a good idea. Just to spend an hour in whatever you do. But she's documenting it all. She's got this cool video series.
I love that. I think that's great.
Well, maybe that's what you can do an Emily Keener 1 hour to write a song.
No, I love the vibe of that, because I think a big thing for me in my own practice has just been to try to take the pressure off of the end result. Yeah. And think of it more as like, I'm just here, I'm showing up to work, and like it's more about creating something than creating something great, you know?
For sure.
Because if you're trying to go into it to create something great, there's all this pressure, there's all this stress and expectation around it, and it's not the best creative environment for your mind, for your heart, whatever. So I think it's really powerful to take away that pressure and that expectation, and kind of detach yourself from that, because then it's like you can have your personhood without having it be defined on like how cool your song you wrote that day was, you know?
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. If you have too much stress, too much tension, makes the snare drum pop, and break, as opposed to sounding good. And like sounds like you've been doing some meditating, just being in it and being okay with where you're at with that and accepting what comes. And like I think that's definitely a skill a lot of us are going to need to get through all this.
It's main coping mechanism right now.
Yeah. Is it?
You need me able to like close my eyes for several hours.
It's like sleeping. I'm not asleep. No.
Yes.
Is this a new practice you started, or have you been doing this? Like, I imagine, like if you're at 16, going and doing the Voice, this big production, high end show that's seen by millions. There's some meditation, some mental space you got yourself into then that maybe carries through now, or is this a new practice?
That's a really good point. I think I've developed new practices over time, but a lot of my more elevated practices or whatever probably began around then, because I needed so much help to get through that experience. Like it was so overwhelming and stressful. I felt like I was going to die every day. Like I was just so scared. And it took a toll on my body too, for sure. Like I was getting sick all the time and just like run down. So I was meditating every day. I was meditating before every performance. I was trying to connect to my breath and just level out my mental state as much as I could, because it was so intense. So now it's like I know the power that it has, if that makes sense. And now it's like I can use that as a tool in my life going forward.
Did someone suggest that while you're going through it, or you're just like, I need to do something? You know what I mean? Because that's that's
I don't know.
No, there was no yogi, no guru.
So I was already practicing yoga at that time, and that was something that I had already used just as a spiritual, physical practice or whatever. And so meditation is touched on a lot in yoga. I had a lot of yoga teachers around me in my life. And so meditation was kind of just, I feel like I always knew about it in a way, like in my teen years, like it was just like, oh yeah, meditation, like that's great for you. And I ended up, like, I think my mom and I ended up getting this meditation app that we could use while we were out there, kind of going through everything. Yeah, just like little short, like recorded guided meditations and stuff. And it was a good like segue into that.
So did your parents introduce like yoga and meditation?
They did not
Oh,
actually.
okay.
So that was mostly from my friends that I made through playing music,
Oh, okay.
the
That
bands
makes
that I was in, and all that stuff.
that makes
Um,
sense. The guitar player's doing yoga. Yeah, I assumed.
right, right,
Uh,
exactly.
oh, that's
So
awesome.
yeah, I picked it up from lovely folks around me. My parents, um, I mean, they obviously had other supportive like advice to give and stuff too. They just came at it from a different angle. But my mom, yeah, she was down with the meditating too.
That's cool. That's cool that they got aboard with it. You know, that's being
Yeah,
supportive as well. Do your parents play music?
my dad does, yeah.
Yeah.
So the guitar I play actually is his guitar, and he gave it to me when I got a little older, probably like around 13. Um,
After you were
and
already professional, you know, after you're gigging enough, maybe you could take the. What kind of
I
guitar was
used
it,
I
or is
actually
it?
have it right here. It's a Seagull guitar. I play it to this day. It's like
Nice.
my um yeah, it's just like a cool acoustic from the 90s. And he would let me borrow it for gigs and stuff, and I would practice on a smaller one at home. But then at some point, it was just like I was playing so often, it was like, well, it's kind of like yours now. So yeah, just kind of passed it along to me. But yeah, my dad, he I grew up listening to him play a lot of music for the family.
What kind of stuff was he playing?
Um, like good amount of like classic country music, Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Paul Simon, Simon and Garfunkel stuff,
Yeah.
um, Elvis, Kenny Rogers,
Okay.
rest in peace.
Yeah, that's
Um,
crazy.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, wild.
I didn't
But
even.
yeah, just your classics.
Wow, that's cool. So is he a guitar guy or is he more of a singer songwriter guy?
He's more of a guitar guy.
Okay.
Yeah, he never wrote music that I knew of. So yeah, he's just always just really enjoyed playing guitar and singing. Yeah, and he really liked to play music for the family. So
That's
that was nice growing up.
Was it? I meant was he was he a fan of guitar or was he
Um,
or a fan of singer songwriters? But um,
I probably a little bit of both. Like he was also into like heavier like guitar based music and stuff. Like he was in a metal band in college as well. So he
what?
was like
Nice.
he was into both.
Do you venture down
Yeah.
that way at all? Do you get into some heavier stuff? Are you
Um,
sticking kind of where you're at?
as a performer, no. Like, even as a listener now, like it's not something I necessarily go out of my way to listen to be honest. Like I'm more like I don't even know what to describe my music taste as being. Like I definitely don't just listen to my own genre of stuff, but
Yeah,
I don't find myself listening to heavier metal or anything like that.
that'd be kind of awesome if that's all you did listen to. You're like,
Right.
yeah, I just listen to hardcore post punk, you know. What? And you write that? Oh, that's cool. Who are some singers, songwriters that, or just singers or guitarists that inspire you to when you're sitting down for that hour slotted time of being creative that you draw inspiration from? Let me rephrase it.
Oh yeah. That's a good question. I think trying to think of the bands that I've been really into lately. I'm really into Big Thief.
Okay.
I love that band a lot. Adrienne Lenker is an amazing songwriter, and her guitar parts are just like so solid. So I really like I listen and draw a lot from that as far as like inspiration of how to like break outside the box in my own like finger picking patterns and like lyrical ideas and stuff. Um, yeah, so I'm
Nice.
really into them. What else? What else? I'm listening to a lot of Elliott Smith lately as well. He's one of my heroes. Nick Drake. Um, People who write really raw, authentic lyrics and back it up with badass guitar parts and melody. Like I'm super into that.
Nice.
So
Fair enough. Well, I mean, that's a broad enough thing to get into a lot and
super,
inspired by a
super.
lot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like anything that's in that vein will at least get me intrigued. You know.
That's cool. What picking have you been working on? Is there any like pattern doing some Travis picking, doing some
I don't even know what to
rolls?
call it. Uh, I don't even know what to call it. I would probably say like a lot of the picking that I've done is probably reminiscent of like Joni Mitchell stuff and like
Okay.
older like 70s songwriter type styles, but I'm trying to like break out of that and explore different different vibes. It's one of the reasons I like Big Thief so much is they do a lot of really cool syncopated guitar parts that are super subtle,
Yeah.
but they're very, very powerful, and they create some really cool rhythms with that.
You make that cool wall, that texture of sound that comes at you that maybe you don't realize at first until you're picking it apart, pun intended.
Yeah, until you.
Do you have you ever messed with like open tunings like Joni does?
I have, yeah. So there was a while, like when I finished up on the show, that I was writing like a few songs and some open tunings and stuff. But I think after a while, I just kind of stopped because I got tired of bringing two guitars to gigs.
Yeah.
I just like got lazy about it. But now I got back into it and I'm trying to experiment with that a little bit more, like DADGAD stuff and open D and G and like fun combos. So,
Yeah.
which is it's cool. I like doing that.
That's cool. I think it opens it up. Everything you knew, like the standard approach you have to everything, is just gone. You know what I mean? Now you're just playing, and you're just like it's a whole new instrument to some degree.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes you like you don't know what you're doing anymore. So you have to be like, I don't know. It's just like it's kind of like looking around in the dark a little bit, which is fun. I like that.
Well, it keeps it fresh. Well, Emily, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I know we went over the 20 minutes. I think we said we were going to do, but this was a really great conversation, and I appreciate your time. And
thanks for having me.
I think you're going to have a great time on Gall's virtual show. I did the second one, and despite all this madness, it was like, okay, everyone's here. It was really like I was hyped up for the next couple days. Playing in my basement, you know what I mean, like to my computer. So I think you're gonna have a great time.
Well, I'm super excited about it now, and thanks for like making the effort to like get the word out about it and having me on. I really appreciate it, Dave.
Got it. All right. Well, I'll tune in and I'll hear you on Friday, which is 8 p.m. And this Friday is March
the 27th, I think,
27th.
right?
Days. All right, Emily. Take care.
Yeah, you too. Catch you later.
Later.